Hello guys, we are back. It's that time of week again. We're back with Premier League predictions. Sophie, set us a like target.
Right, because the support's been amazing, I think we'll go for our biggest one yet. 4,000 likes.
4,000?
We're going to do it as well.
Well, we could do it. The support has been amazing. So before we get into the video, do take 2 seconds to hit the thumbs up button. It takes literally 2 seconds and it really helps us out. Make sure as well to hit that subscribe button. Your support has been amazing. It takes 2 seconds. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. And with your brilliant support this season, we could possibly push for 100k, but who knows? Let's get into the predictions. Actually, before we do that, Sophie, these are the scores from last week. I don't want to talk about it because once again, you beat me. Look, we all know you're better at Premier League predictions than I am.
You're better in the Championship, so
I'll take that. Let's get into the predictions, Sophie. We start with a London derby, the Frank Lampard derby, the Joe Cole derby. It's West Ham versus Chelsea. Now, West Ham last week, they got that 1-1 draw with a late equaliser at Fulham. We backed them to win that game, but in the end, look, Danny Ings has saved them with a draw. They've been a little bit inconsistent, but so have Chelsea. I mean, yeah. Chelsea have been good, but sometimes dropping points to teams you wouldn't necessarily expect. You know, they smashed Wolves 6-2 and then they drew with Palace. They did get back to winning ways last week with a late goal against Bournemouth. So I think it could be a decent game. I'm leaning towards Chelsea, but in the back of my mind, something is telling me they could mess up. I'm going to say West Ham 1, Chelsea 2.
Oh, yeah, I'm going for the same scoreline. I think Chelsea might just nick this one. Completely agree with what you've just said about Chelsea being pretty inconsistent this season. I don't think they've reached the highs of where they will reach this season. Similarly, I think West Ham, much the same. I do expect them to improve as well. So I think this could be a close game. But like you, I am leaning towards Chelsea. So a close one, but 2-1.
There you go, 2-1. Both go for the 2-1 Chelsea win. Share your thoughts. We did have a West Ham fan last week, by the way, Sophie, saying, oh, you finally backed us to win. And when we did, they didn't win. So maybe if we go back to not backing them, they will win. Next up, Sophie, we go from a London derby to a West Midlands derby as Aston Villa take on Wolves. 2 teams that really couldn't be in more different contrasting moods really, because Villa are flying. They've had a good start to the Premier League season. They've just won 3-0 on their return to the Champions League against Young Boys. And Wolves, look, I thought they were okay against Newcastle, but they didn't get anything.
They've done it again. Go 1-0 up and you think, oh, okay, they're going to get something from the game, and then very late on to get nothing from it is, yeah.
And they also lost in midweek in the Carabao Cup 3-2 to Brighton.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a Villa win. I think it'll be relatively comfortable. I'm going to say 2-0.
Yeah, you won't believe it, but I'm actually going for the same scoreline. I was thinking Aston Villa, you've got to lean towards them in this one. They've got to be the favourites. With them being the home side as well, I think they could keep a clean sheet. Wolves haven't looked amazing this season. I won't say that they've looked poor. I mean, some people might, but there have been some promising signs. They're just not getting enough from the games. So, yeah, I'm in agreement again, 2-0 Villa.
Surely we've got to go for some different predictions at some point. Okay, right, next up, Soph, let's go to Fulham versus Newcastle. Now, Fulham, we mentioned that they drew 1-1 with West Ham. They conceded a late equaliser. They will be annoyed. They will be kicking themselves. And then they also lost in midweek to Preston after an incredible penalty shootout. Newcastle United, we said, good win against Wolves.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between a draw and a Newcastle win. I'm not sure if Fulham win. They might do, but I think Newcastle have started really well and they'll want to build on this really good start. And who knows, they might get back into the top 4 this year. I'm going to go for a bonus point here. I'm going to chuck in 5 goals. Fulham 2, Newcastle 3.
Okay, well, you've done that and I'm not going for the same scoreline, so well done. I am leaning towards Newcastle as well, so we're both picking the same winner. I think they probably are the favourites despite being the away side, but I like what I've seen from them so far this season. They've looked good going forward. I don't think Fulham are a bad team, so I think the scoreline could be quite close. I'm agreeing that it's just going to be 1 goal that separates the 2 teams, but I think it's going to be another Newcastle 2-1 win. Paid off for me last week. I'm hoping it does the same this week.
Oh, you play it so unbelievably safe.
Yeah.
You're such a little safer.
Yeah. Safe bet.
Yeah, right, on to the next one. This is a massive game down the bottom end of the table, Sophie, as Leicester City welcome Everton. Now, both sides, believe it or not, were 2-0 up last week, and they're both still winless.
Yeah.
For Everton, it's become a recurring theme that in their last 2 games, they've gone 2-0 up and ended up losing 3-2. They cannot afford to do anything like that here. But, you know, Leicester have shown some good fighting signs. They've picked up 2 draws. They'll be kicking themselves not to have got the win against Palace. I think it's going to be a close game. Might be a bit cagey with it being Cooper versus Deitch.
Yeah.
And I think Everton will get something. But I don't necessarily think Leicester will lose. It's a massive game for both. They both need to win, but it's a disaster if they lose. And I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a disaster for either team if they lose here. Imagine if Everton lose 3-2 again. If they go 2-0 up in this game, I'm slapping Sky Bet on and putting 3-2. I don't even think the odds will be that good now after the last couple of results. But do you know what? I'm actually going to go towards Leicester. I know they went 2-0 up against Palace and then left with 1 point. But I actually fancy them more in this one against Everton. So I'm going to say 2-1 Leicester. I am picking a winner. But I think it could be a tight game. It will be interesting to see if both teams set up defensive. I don't think Everton will, actually. I think they might go out for the win here because really a draw is not going to suit them too much. Equally, you could say the same about Leicester. They really need a few more points on the board. So
it's a massive game.
It is. There's a lot riding on it. So I was tempted to say a draw. I feel like that's playing it too safe, but I am picking the home side to win. 2-1.
I do wonder if it was an Everton defeat, what will that mean for Sean Dyche?
A lot of people say there's a lot of credit in the bank, but credit's got to run out at some point.
Yeah, it's a pressure match. Do share your thoughts. On to the next one, Soph. Let's go to Anfield as Liverpool take on Bournemouth, and both sides look to bounce back from a 1-0 defeat last week. Liverpool, they've been brilliant under Arne Slot, but Forest did a really good job on them. They went there, they kept a clean sheet, they snatched a goal, they took 3 points. Liverpool need to respond, and it's just a reality check. It's the Premier League, Arne Slot.
Just needs to learn from it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's disastrous.
Look, they've had a good start. The hiccups will happen. I have a feeling there will be a response, and I think they might beat Bournemouth here. But I don't think it's going to be straightforward because Bournemouth are good. Liverpool 2, Bournemouth 1.
Okay, I think if anything, Bournemouth have got to watch the way that Forest set up against Liverpool and think, do you know what, we need to emulate that because I think that's going to be their best chance. I do think that Liverpool, they looked good in the Champions League fixture midweek.
Yeah, they were very good against AC Milan, yeah.
Exactly. Could you say they've already bounced back? Possibly, but I think they need to do it in the league as well because it's going to be so tight. If they want to be in that title race, you need to put that defeat behind you, look on to next game, back at home again against Bournemouth. Really should be winning this one. I don't think that's too offensive to Bournemouth to say that, but I'm not going to go heavy, actually. I think Bournemouth are going to make it very difficult for Arne Slot's team to break them down, and I only see it being 1-0 Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they could keep a clean sheet again. I would be interested to see how Bournemouth set up. As I've said already, I think they should try and emulate Forest's performance, and I think that's going to be their best chance. But I think Liverpool and Arne Slot need to put the Forest game behind them and push on and really go for it. But I only see it being 1-0.
Look, a win is a win.
A win is a win. It's 3 points.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a big 3 points on the line at St Mary's as Southampton take on Ipswich. This is already massive for both clubs because they've had some difficult games. I think Ipswich's games have been harder, and they've both got to this one circling it and going, we need to win.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to stay up, you have to beat the teams around you.
It's got to be these games.
Southampton are at home and they've picked up no points. They have to win. But I fancy Ipswich. Ipswich have shown better signs. They've shown that they've climatised to the Premier League. They got a good clean sheet at Brighton. They took a point off Fulham. And before that, they played Liverpool and Man City. It is worth bearing in mind, Ipswich did the double over Southampton last season as well. That game at Portman Road in particular was bonkers. I'm going to go Southampton 0, Ipswich 2. I think Ipswich will get a goal and then hit them on the counter. And I just think Southampton have been really poor, so I think Ipswich will get the win here. I think they've been better.
They have, and I think if you go on form alone, you've got to lean towards, or maybe performances, not so much form, because you might look at Ipswich and think they've not got many points on the board. Compared to Southampton's 0, it's better than that. But in terms of performances, I've liked more what I've seen from Ipswich.
Yeah.
Southampton at times have played good football, but we knew they'd play possession type football. We knew that with Russell Martin, but they've got nothing to show for it. So I think they're going to miss out on any points in this one as well. I'm going to say Ipswich 1-0. Only one goal separating them, but I've got to lean towards Tractor Boys.
Yeah, share your thoughts on that one. It is a massive game at St Mary's already. Right, next up, Sophie, let's go to a London derby at the Tottenham Stadium. Tottenham take on Brentford. Now, we got to see Tottenham in midweek and they just about beat Coventry. They were not at their best. They didn't play all of their best players, but they certainly brought on a lot of quality. And I think ultimately, even in their first team, there is a problem that they are so easy to expose. If Coventry can cause Tottenham problems, then I think Brentford can. Look, I like Ange, and I like a lot of the Tottenham players, but I just think this might suit Brentford to get something. I'm going to go 2-2.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I think Tottenham are the favourites, but I think Brentford have got the capability to come here and poke a few holes and get a couple goals, maybe a draw, 2-2.
Yeah, I've actually liked what I've seen so far from Brentford, and I think they have got a few good players. So I don't think it'd be a massive upset if they were to come here and win. I'm not going to back it. I'm going to sit on the fence as well and say a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. Purely because I think on their day, Spurs are a good team. They've got really good quality in certain areas. But as you said, they've shown, even against Coventry, I know it wasn't their full strength 11, but you can expose them. And if you've got better strikers to actually be more clinical, because Coventry weren't, then they can be punished. And I don't know. I could see either team winning, but as I say, I'm going for a draw. So 1-1.
There you go. Yeah, share your thoughts, guys. Both go for a draw. I don't know. Tottenham have got to win, really, haven't they? Otherwise, pressure will build a bit.
Yeah, when you're the home side as well, and Newcastle's like top 6 team, you need to be winning these games. But I don't think it's an easy game.
Even though Tottenham did beat Coventry in the end, a lot of Tottenham fans have shown how angry they are after that performance.
Yeah.
Right, on to the next one, Sophie. It's Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. It's difficult, this. Manchester United are the favourites, and I probably will go with them, but we know that they're sometimes capable of a slip-up, and they did lose 4-0 at Selhurst Park last season. That said, though, they've been all right recently. They smashed Southampton 3-0. They've smashed Barnsley 7-0. Yes, the opposition, not particularly great, but it'll give them confidence, and I think this has come at a nice time for Manchester United, because currently Palace have not been great.
No.
They've got, 2 draws, so 2 points from 4 games. But then, I don't know, it's definitely possible Palace turn up and get their first win against United. But I will go Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 2.
Okay, I'm going 2-0 Man United. I think they might keep a clean sheet, because I don't think we've seen the best of Palace so far. They've not looked at it. I'd say they've actually started pretty poorly in the league. Man United can be a little bit inconsistent with their performances. Obviously, they're coming into this on the back of a 7-0 win against poor Barnsley. That was a bit of a beating. I did think that would be quite comfortable. I thought they went quite strong in that one, so maybe that's telling from Ten Hag that at home against League One opposition, you've got to put some of your better players out there in order to get the win.
Yeah.
But they did it comfortably. And I think, that's going to do a lot of players some good confidence-wise, especially players like Rashford, who is a confidence type player. As soon as he's got it, you see the best of him. So, yeah, I'm going to give him a clean sheet. I'm going to say Man United 2-0.
2-0, yeah, that'd be a good win. Yeah, share your thoughts, Crystal Palace and Manchester United fans. On to the next one, Sophie. We go down to the South Coast on Sunday as Brighton take on Nottingham Forest. It's a battle for Europe. It's 6th versus 7th. Look, both sides have been great. They've both picked up 8 points. They've both not lost a game. Forest have an incredible defensive record so far this season, and they've scored in every game. And they're one of only 2 teams not to have gone behind in a game this season. On the other hand, Brighton have been good, but that 0-0 against Ipswich last week was, I think, 2 points dropped when you look at the game on paper. But look, they're going to want to bounce back. Forest fans will feel like they are on top of the world and they can beat anyone after beating Liverpool last week. But it's still a difficult game. I don't know. I really could see it going any way.
I really could, yeah.
I can't go against Forest after last week. And I'm not sure. I think I'm going to go for a draw.
Okay.
I think I'm going to say Forest score again and Brighton have the ability to get one. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Okay, I'm going for a draw as well. I actually see both these teams right now as evenly matched, and I'm really struggling to separate the two. I could see it going either way, so I'm actually interested to see this one. I'm going to say they cancel each other out. I'm going 0-0. I don't often go 0-0, but I see it being a stalemate. Or, as I say, I'm just really struggling to separate the two sides. So, yeah, I'm going down the middle.
What? Do you know what?
An entertaining one. I'll add that. I think it'll be an entertaining 0-0. Not like a boring 0-0 where you think, thank God that's over.
I was going to say, that makes sense, actually. When you think Brighton's result last week was 0-0, Forest last week 1-0. It could be low scoring.
Yeah, I think it will be low scoring.
Might be a game of chess, but I'm really excited. I think it's a really good test for Forest to see if they can match up to Brighton, who will be competing for top 7 or 8. If Forest can do that and keep this good start going, wow. Okay, right, on to the final game, Sophie. First versus second. Manchester City versus Arsenal. Just a small game. These games can decide the title, but last season we saw Arsenal take 4 points off Man City, but they still didn't do it. And this is really difficult for Arsenal because they're playing in midweek a day later than Man City and they're away. So they've got to travel across Europe and then across back up to Manchester. But Arsenal have quality, you know, they're going to turn up and make a game of it. Man City only drew 0-0 with Inter in midweek.
They did, that was quite surprising actually.
I think it's going to be really close and cagey actually. I think it'd be a low scoring game. Personally, I don't have anything against Man City, but I just think to freshen things up, it would be nice to see Arsenal win the league. But my head is telling me Man City are going to edge this. I'm going to say Man City 1, Arsenal 0.
I'm going for the exact same. I was really tempted to say 0-0 because I wouldn't be surprised if this ended a draw. Neither team will want to lose this one. I think more specifically Arsenal. And I do feel like it is unfair. As you said, they're playing a day later. They've got all of that travelling. Will there be an element of them being tired? Possibly. As I say, I just feel it's a little bit unfair on them. But I know that's how football goes. I don't see there being many goals in this one. As you say, I think it's going to be cagey. Neither team wants to lose. But I think Man City, probably Haaland, because he's just on fire in the league. I think he's the one that's just going to snatch it. I think it's going to be late on as well. So I'm going to say 1-0 Man City, same as you. I'm not copying you because what's the point in that? But I think we're in agreement a lot this video.
Yeah, actually that is a good point. Why would you copy me considering my terrible track record at Premier League predictions? Right, anyway, that wraps up our predictions, guys. Be sure to share your predictions down in the comments. And thank you as always for your brilliant support. Don't get too upset. It's just a bit of fun. If you disagree with our predictions, that's fine. Just let us know your predictions down in the comments. Like I say, make sure you've dropped a like as well as we're going for 4,000.
4,000 please.
Wow, and make sure to subscribe. We will be back with predictions next week. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.